How come the army that you completed worked on the table last year, but now it doesn't work? Either it's too small or not a legal list. Why do you always end up 1 unit short or need 1 more character? Now this isn't about nice models, oh, have to have the nice new shiny model, or addiction making you do stupid things. This is how the rules of 40k themselves are designed to keep you buying models so that your army is never complete. Army sizes are getting bigger and will keep getting bigger because that is what is needed to play the game as intended for this edition. Building a 40k army to completion is a Sisyphean task. You can't do the Stillman era of buying 2,000 points worth of stuff, painting up 2,000 points worth of stuff, and expecting that 2,000 points worth of stuff to be your army. Because 2,000 points is currently considered the standard for 40k. Combat Patrol is a starting level, 1,000 points is a good size and only recently catered to in a mission deck, 2,000 points is considered by most people to be a normal game. 1,500 points doesn't get a mention in any of the supplements that Games Workshop has for 40k. The points for your units will be high at the start of the edition. You make an army list from that. But the points are high so that they get lowered as balance patches come out. Think about it whenever a balance patch comes out. Oh, I got points nerfed. This is awful. I hate this unit or army or whatever. But points going down. Oh, this is great. I want to buy more of these and then I'll play more with them. Whether that number is green or red affects your psychology. And we know they were higher at the start of the edition because we can see from comparable Legends units which don't get their points updated, and they have high points. A Space Marine Vulnerable Dreadnought went into Legends a month into the edition at 165 points. It is near identical to the Space Marine Dreadnought of the time. Its points have remained untouched, but that same Space Marine Dreadnought has gradually gone down to be 135 points, 30 points cheaper. So to get back to 2,000 points after a points drop, you need more models. You cannot add war gear in 10th edition, so points are lower per model than in previous editions. 2,000 points as a standard game size is relatively new. Go back a few editions and 1,500 is normal, and events, like tournaments and such, capped at 1,850. So 2,000 points was playing with almost your entire collection, unless you had 20,000 points like some crazy person. This is a 1,500 point Adeptus Sororitas army list from 7th edition. We've got a Canoness, Minister and Priest with Arco-Flagellants, 2 squads of Battle Sisters with basic weapons, Saint Celestine, Repentier and a Rhino, and Rhinos were very cheap back then, 2 squads of Dominions, a small squad of Seraphim, and an Exorcist. Now that is 1,500 points in 7th edition, it is 1,395 points in 10th edition. So if you wanted to play 1,500 points, suddenly you are 105 points short. Oh, that is exactly another Battle Sister squad worth of units. And this isn't some skew list. It's a pretty standard list for the time. I haven't stacked vehicle upgrades or relics or thrown melter bombs on everything, and it's an army list that you may also use in 10th edition. You can see that the biggest drop in points is on the infantry, the models that make up the majority of most armies. Unless you are running a tank-heavy army, you will find your army is short, and you have no way to inflate the points back up to 7th edition's points with war gear. It doesn't matter if you pick a flamer or a melter gun, they are the same points. Nothing extra. Enhancements will only get you so far, and an all-vehicle list in 7th edition doesn't compare fairly because Space Marine Rhinos were free in 7th edition. 7th edition was a crazy edition. We can do it the other way, taking a 10th edition army list and reverting it back to the 7th edition points. It's only using models that existed in 7th edition, so there's no Val or Sacrosancts or Castigators. They all came out in 9th edition. So with Celestine, a Canoness with the Mantle of Ophelia, yes, that's from the Hallowed Martyrs detachment, and then the Minister and Priest has something from the Army of Faith. In Crusade games, that's allowed, so the points are valid. 3 lots of 5 Seraphim, 3 lots of 10 Dominions, 2 Penitent Engines, 2 Immolators, 1 Battle Sister squad that's in 2 squads of 5 because it's going to get split by the Immolators, and 10 more Battle Sisters, and 5 Retributors, because sometimes you want to try them, And of course I can't go without 2 exorcists. That is 2,000 points exactly in 10th edition. Rolling that back to 7th edition, it is 2,240 points. And it's crazy to think that 2,240 points would be a standard army in 7th edition. It would be way too big. We can do the same for 8th edition. If you started playing about 5 years ago, then the army is 2,150 points. Your army is losing about 100 points worth of value per edition. So if we think to the future, will the same percentage increase apply? Will 11th edition drop another 100 points from your army lists? So why is this the case? Units are invalidated. Old war gear, old relics, units going to legends, which may mean you can't play them in certain tournament events. There are some no longer allowed units, like Imperial Guard conscripts, Celestians with guns. If I had put 10 Celestians in the 7th edition list, that would be 185 points. So do you compare that to 10 Battle Sisters at 105 points, or do you discount them as shelf dwellers, and now there is another 185 points difference? 425 points worth that you've lost from previous editions that you need to add to your army. Some army lists are completely invalidated. The Brood Brothers Auxilia from the normal Genestealer cult in 10th edition. If you started with up to 25% of your army from the Imperial Guard range in the Genestealer cult index, now it's changed. You cannot ally Imperial Guard units except in one detachment. So you either drop the army because it doesn't work, or you buy more, either buying more Genestealer cult to make up the lost Imperial Guard units that you cannot use anymore in, say, the Host of Ascension, or you get more Imperial Guard units to try and make the Brood Brothers work. Haha, good luck to you. It can work, but it's difficult. If you kept going with what you had, you won't have a great Brood Brothers force with 1 Rough Rider unit and a Leman Russ. So that's something that can happen, and has happened this edition. So you have to buy more to get that full army. And that is scraping the points limit. That is just getting there. That is always taking the same units to battle and hoping that the unit combos and tactics and abilities remain the same through editions or even within an edition, because we have points updates every 3 months again. So you're going to need more units as tactics no longer work, characters can't operate with the units they used to, transports can't carry the same units as before, some stratagems no longer work. Why would I want so many Hand Flamer Seraphim? Obviously, I need Celestian Sacrosants to make the army work and have a chance at victory in this meta. Bringers of Flame is out, Hallowed Martyrs and Champions of Faith are in. So what are some solutions? Some of them are from Games Workshop side. If Games Workshop has a game that is less killy and uses fewer models, a bit like Age of Sigmar, then smaller games work better. The board has shrunk in size since 7th edition. That was on a 48 by 72 inch board, and now we play on 44 by 60 inches. That is a foot less space and even more models on the board, so it is crowded. So if 11th edition has increased points for units, or it had points per weapons again, even some of the better weapons, and let the flamers remain free, that would reduce the amount of models needed for a game, the amount of money and time you need to put into getting an army before you can play one on the table. People forget how much you have to invest just to have a basic game of 40k. So make the introductory game, the Combat Patrol system, as viable as Age of Sigmar Spearhead. That is an interesting game mode in itself. I don't know anyone who plays just Combat Patrol, no matter the size of their army, but I know plenty of people who only play Age of Sigmar Spearhead. You could make Combat Patrol a fun game in itself with about 500 points of units. But currently it has no guidance on terrain, about 6 missions, and hasn't been expanded since the start of the edition, except with more Combat Patrols. Games Workshop is unlikely to fix this aspect of current 40k, because they designed these rules. 40k is meant to do this over the editions as far as Games Workshop is concerned, whereas the community, by a 2/3 majority, prefers points per model and per weapon. So why do they only use one value for a unit? So you buy more models, so you stay invested, so you continue interacting with the game and don't retreat into the basement with a complete army, which is something you could do with old Warhammer Fantasy. Once you had an army, there was very little reason to change it up. So 40k will continue for longer, and it will keep extracting money from us. So what can we do? We can always play older editions, but I know getting a game is harder. People who didn't play that edition have to be taught the rules almost from scratch, and they have to adapt their army to an older codex with fewer units available. I know there's a community codex and things with updated unit rosters, they do exist, like 40k 5.5 rules. So they are a way to play 4th edition and have castigators. Try playing games of 1500 points or 1000 points. They are catered to in the 2025 mission deck. Ask to play those sizes, offer to play that size of game. At your local club, more people come out happy to play if you say anything from 1k to 2k. Or there's the other solution. Give in. The only way to safely have 2000 points is to have 3000 points. That gives you some growing space for when the points per unit decreases, and you have a larger variety of units that you can put onto the table to work in the current meta. Oh, this unit is terrible, it's not going to get a points change for at least 3 months, if at all. It can be dropped, and I can put another unit in instead. Obviously, I'm keeping the Exorcists. They're beautiful church organ missile launcher tanks. The increased number of models on the table, the increased game size overall, the way you need to keep adding units to make the army bigger to put onto the table, that is going to lead to games lasting longer. And you're not gonna finish your games. That is a reason why you shouldn't play 2000 points. But there's many more. Have a great day of 40k.